Sorry.
I said you're fine. We were, and I apologize. I was getting the Facebook going, and we're good now. That's what I. But, um,
So
yeah,
you ask me.
yeah,
You ask what which country is the
biggest
most
threat.
represents the most dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I I think it's China. Of course,
Okay.
China is becoming more and more powerful in all areas, economic area and military area.
Now, do you think China would be limited due to their communist regime, economically, at least?
Sorry, I
So, China, which has a communist regime,
yes, yes.
do you think that they will be limited on how much they can grow because of that?
I lived in China.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they are a very strong regime. They def- are not a democracy. They are far from a democracy.
Mm-hmm.
They are an autocracy. I don't know the English word. Autocracy
Yeah.
is it correct?
Yep. That and
Yes,
an autocracy is basically what she says goes. That's basically
yes,
what that is. He has full
yes.
control.
But they are not communist as they were 20 years in Mao Zedong era.
Mm,
They the state is very strong. People don't have liberty. People don't have democracy. But the economy is not like Cuba, for example. It's
mm-hmm.
very different from Cuba.
Okay.
They have a capitalism, but the state is very strong. The state controls all areas
Okay.
of the economy, of all areas of everything, basically.
So, and I know China is a complicated look at because you hear it is communist, but they are a little bit different because you still have the private businesses, obviously. You still have wealth and up and coming people. But I do know that a lot of the control is in
Yes,
the hands
yes,
of the
of course.
government, right? Which in that
Yes,
case would be
yes,
publicly owned, and that would justify or not justify, but be communism by the definition of the word. But like you're saying, it's still different. It's an autocracy, so they're under the
yes,
power, and
But
she has full reign. Um,
yes, yes.
you know, and correct me if I'm wrong. Now, a lot of the private citizens, though, regular everyday people like you and I, they can't have the same ownership that we do in the economy. Correct? Like when it comes to the stock market, I can participate in the stock market. They don't have the ability to do that, do they?
No, no, yeah, they
They
can,
can. Okay.
they have, yes, they have property, they have cars, they have apartments, they have everything. As I told you, the regime is an autocracy.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have liberty. They don't have rights to speech,
Gotcha.
rights to gather, rights to create political parties. They don't have these
Mm-hmm.
rights.
Okay.
But in economy, they can do everything basically. They can be rich, for example.
Yes. That's Marcos.
if you allowed me to step, Michael, being, uh, that document that I sent to you, talking about Olavo de Carvalho, the changing of the
You broke up there, Marcos.
communism uh, to a movement that abolishes the economy to become a cultural movement.
Getting a lot of feedback there, Marcus. You gotta.
It's more or less what the coroner are saying.
Go and say that again. You're getting a lot of feedback and breaking up. And if you want to say it in Portuguese, that's fine. And then Paulo can understand you. Maybe it'll be a little clearer, and then he can answer the question.
I understood what Marcus told.
Okay.
What he told was that Olavo de Carvalho, I think he sent a document for you, if I
Yes.
understood. Says that the communism change from a economic thing to a cultural thing.
Got you.
So Marcus said that it's almost is what I was telling you
about China. And so that's where you're saying in China, it's not so much an economical thing; it's more of a cultural thing. And in communism, and
I'm
as
not
a
sure.
go ahead.
I'm not sure about the cultural thing because this in China they don't have cultural liberty. For example, in LGBTs things or cultural liberty. But the politics, the problem is the politics. The party is the party controls everything. The party controls the Congress, the justice, the army, everything. So you have the dictatorship, autocracy.
Gotcha.
But in economy, it's not in this way.
Yeah, I see where you're getting at. There's a big divide, and I'm learning a lot here, and I appreciate you explaining this too. What it sounds like is it's like China is well aware that they need to kind of be somewhat hands off on the economy and let it grow, right?
Yes,
but they still want to maintain that control over the people, and this is the best way to do it. So they separated. You don't have the right to free speech. You don't have the right to religion or whatever other rights or freedoms they may have culturally, but economically they do have some freedom, which is allowing them to gain power.
Yes. Because you have a very interesting thing. What gives to democracy legitimacy? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Is the vote, okay? You vote and you choose a governor, and they will take all the measures to govern the country, or the state, or the city, okay? In China, you don't have this. The legitimacy is not from don't came from the vote. The legitimacy, they say, came from the progress. So when I was a child in China, I am 52 years old. Okay. So when I was a child in China, it's about 70s. I was poor. My dad don't had a car. I was in a little apartment living with another family. So, but now I am 52 years old and I have my own house. I have my car. My son is in the college. So in their view, the party became things better, turn the country a better place to live. So the legitimacy came from this situation. not from the vote. They
Yeah.
say that
Gotcha.
to explain to us when we ask them. Uh, but see, you don't have liberty. You can't vote. They say back. Okay, but I don't know. I don't need the vote because the party became things better. Do you understand? I'm
Yeah.
not.
No, you're doing a great job. That's a great explanation. You're saying that they're justifying not having a democratic regime because the Communist Party is making everything better.
Yes, they say that.
Yeah. And
Do you
that's
understand?
yeah, that's interesting. Because so last night, and I don't know if anyone else has seen this, but you know Justin Trudeau, who's the Prime Minister of Canada, who is going under a lot of heat right now with the whole protest with the vaccine mandates and stuff. I saw a video of him when I believe he was running for Prime Minister at the time, and he was in like a little rally talking to a group of people, and someone asked him what company or government did he look up to, and he said that he looks up to China's government because, quote, the simple dictatorship that they have has done a great job at advancing their economy, taking climate change seriously, and blah 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 blah. Now this is the prime minister of one of the most powerful countries in the world saying this, saying that he actually looks up to this dictatorship. That was 8 years ago. It's funny though because it's all coming to real life now when he is, threatening an Emergencies Act on the people of Canada where he basically can go in and start arresting these protesters for peacefully protesting, which I believe in the United States would be way against our constitutional rights, but I don't know how it is in Canada. And the document that Marcos sent you today, what it was the Wolfowitz Doctrine. I heard about this in an interview I was watching on YouTube last night with Vladimir Posner. Have you heard of him? He's a big media guy over in Russia, but he grew up in the United States. He's from France, but he's lived in Russia and done their media. He presents their media in English. And he studies our media in our country, and he's an independent journalist. And I learned a lot. And what this document also confirmed, this is signed off by Colin Powell, was in 1992 when it was written, right after the Soviet Union collapsed. The United States wanted to make sure that no country challenged them again. The whole goal was we are not to be challenged ever again. And they obviously want to promote democracy around the world, which is part of the reason why Ukraine hasn't been let into NATO, because they apparently didn't abide by a lot of their democratic standards, even though they've been trying to. In the last 24 hours, I've learned that Ukraine has a lot of problems. A lot of problems. And when you look at it from both sides, I get it from our side. Look, I'm straight up American. I want us to be the greatest, right? That's just us. And we've been through foreign policy, just making sure that we keep it that way. But only against Russia, it seems like. It doesn't seem like we do that with China. It doesn't seem, we kind of talk about it, but you also now you don't have a lot of Russian influence with famous people here in the United States, like an actor or a sports figure. But China has a lot of influence on them. They have a big media. We haven't, I don't even know if they show football games in Russia, but they do in China, or basketball, right? And that money that they're making from that market is allowing them to be influenced by China. They don't want to speak out. God forbid you say anything bad about China. But it's not like that with Russia. And from what I've learned, we were hell-bent after the Soviet Union collapsed on punishing Russia and making sure that they don't ever expand into anything ever again. That's why it's always a big deal when this stuff comes up. And do you think that this is going to cause a problem here soon? We're already looking at the whole Ukraine invasion. which when you start learning about this stuff, it's like this could really go south fast between these two countries. You know, do you think that this will cause problems?
If I understood you correctly, Michael, let me say something. Do you know which country was the first to call to United States president after
Putin was.
11?
Yep, Putin.
Putin was
Offering direct help.
Putin.
Yep.
Yes, yes. And when United States decided to attack Afghanistan to punish Al Qaeda,
Mm-hmm.
The Russia support you. Russia support you.
Mm-hmm.
Supported. And what Putin thinks. Sorry about the verbs. I know I'm saying everything.
No, you're doing a good job. You're doing a great job.
They, because Russians would love to be Europeans.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to be from Asia, from East Asia, from Central Asia,
Mm-hmm.
from China. They want to be Europeans. They came from the king, the Khazar. They love this kind of culture.
Eurasia.
Eurasia, yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. But what happened? Putin would like to maintain the influence about the countries he thinks became from his sphere of influencing.
Mm-hmm.
Is it correct?
Yes.
Sphere of influence.
His spheres. Yes, you're saying that right.
Ukraine, Belarus, Bulgaria, and so on.
Yeah, which is all part of the old Soviet Union.
Yes, yes. But NATO expands 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
5 times. And in Putin's mind, the West disrespect Russia. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because what he told, I don't know if you saw the press conference when Putin told, what about Texas?
Mm-hmm.
Because Texas was from Spain. What about California?
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand? The
Yep.
Putin says, "I'm not in Cuba. I'm not in Venezuela. Why you are here in Ukraine?" I know this is a point of view you can't agree, because the Ukrainians have the right to choose. I know about that.
Yeah.
They have the right to choose. But I am talking about Crimea. Took Crimea. The West imposed sanctions, very hard sanctions, and Putin turned to China, and China support Russia.
Yeah.
So nowadays, the sanctions have much less power.
Yeah.
Because they have this run of escape. They can buy from China. Do you, if you see to Iran in English,
Iran.
Iran,
Yeah.
yes. Nowadays the sanctions are much less effective because they have China.
Yeah.
So they became best friends, you know. So I think if the West take took more care, more soft, more I don't know. Sorry about, but if he was more smart
Yeah.
in leading with Russia in 2000,
Mm-hmm.
maybe we don't have this situation nowadays.
Yeah, and I'm gonna address. So we have some comments on Podbean as far as Russian support in the Middle East after 9/11. I want to make a point. So, like Raccoon said, we paid, people in the Afghans to fight Russia when they invaded. From what I've learned, again, this is just me doing a lot of reading and stuff. There has been a huge separation between Russia and the Soviet Union. And so the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, right? But when that fell with Gorbachev, and they ended up getting rid of Gorbachev because the Soviet Union fell. That was pretty slick how they ended up doing that. But we have considered Russia basically separate. Even though we focused on Russia and they were the main part of the Soviet Union, it's joined NATO. And they didn't. They were worried about him doing that, and because I think he wanted to bypass a lot of the application process and some of the requirements needed. He did ask to join NATO, and they said no. And then they went and did what was they expanded NATO even more. And he's looking at it like, and he said this the other day too. And all the stuff that I've been reading came before he even came out and said this the other day in his interview. He says, look, we don't have the power to stand up to NATO. We're well aware of that. But we do have a lot of nuclear weapons. He said, and if Ukraine joins NATO, that automatically gives them NATO's backing, no matter what, unconditionally. And if they decide and then take Crimea, we have to fight. What I've also learned is about 95% of the Crimeans actually want to be a part of Russia. They're very in favor, pro-Russian. So he's looking at it, in that aspect. Like, we can't defend against NATO, and we would have no choice but to use the nuclear alternative at that point. And a lot of this is consistent with the stuff you read before this. And it seems like a situation that could have been avoided almost over time. Like, it really could have been avoided, but instead it's been just getting tense. And it's getting worse and worse and worse. They asked this guy a question about Trump and Putin. And they said, they asked what he thought about the relationship, and they asked if he thought that Russia interfered with the 2016 election. He says that as much as Putin denies it, he believes they spent about $100,000 not to directly influence it, but different ways, whether it be advertising or whatever it was. But they didn't spend a lot of money. And he brought a good point though. He said, you have the Russians, and they're looking at two different candidates. They have Hillary Clinton and they have Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton goes on live television and compares Putin and says Putin worked for the KGB and has no soul, and he's no different than Hitler. Donald Trump goes and says, I think I can work with Putin. He's like, who do you expect him to support? The one that compares him to probably one of the worst people to ever walk the earth, or the guy that says he's willing to work with him? And apparently, the Russians tend to like the Republican candidates that we have because you go back to Reagan and Gorbachev. They actually got along very well and liked each other. And it has tended to be like that over time, that the Republicans or conservatives are more willing to work with them. And we didn't have this problem under Trump. Maybe we did behind the scenes, but, they were still fighting a war in Ukraine with Russian-backed rebels and stuff. Now, all of a sudden, you have a Democratic president within a year. Now we're talking about an invasion. And it's just interesting when you start, learning about this stuff. And just going back to what you were talking about in the beginning about China, you said that China is probably the biggest threat to the world. Would it not have been more advantageous to try and work things out with Russia? Because we know that we're gonna have to compete with China. It would have been better off having Russia on our side than letting them partner with China now. I don't know. It doesn't sound like a very good strategic move. I don't know anything though.
You know, you mentioned NATO.
Mm-hmm.
There is there is a guy that told something about NATO. NATO about this guy told that NATO was created to put United States in Europe, maintain Russia out of Europe, and Germany under Europe. Do you know?
Mm-hmm.
After Second World War, so was a kind of trap to maintain United States in Europe, taking care of Europe, and to maintain Russia out of Europe, and to maintain Germany under not permitting Germany to rise again.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of trap because when in 1990, when the Cold War
ended,
United States won Cold War, the end of history. NATO looks to Russia and they didn't was a threat more. They don't have a powerful army. They have a big inflation. The country is split in 15 countries, so they wasn't a threat. But they expand to in direction of Russia 5 times. So I think they lost the opportunity to take Russia and create a better place in Europe.
Partnership. Yeah.
Yes, partnership, because it was what they want.
I agree. And that
so now,
good.
Now you have the situation that Russia and China are allied against NATO, against United States. So you have a very dangerous situation, very, very dangerous situation.
Do you think that what went on in Afghanistan and the way that unfolded in August, do you think that has anything to do with what we're seeing now as far as the timing of all of this? Russia going, and now they're in alliance with China, and then now they're putting 150,000 troops on the Ukrainian border. Do you think that the way Biden had handled Afghanistan is tempting to a Russia or China to kind of push the issues with like a Taiwan or a Ukraine?
I don't know if Afghanistan have direct link with this decision, but I do think that Putin saw the other leaders in the world, and he can't recognize a very good leadership.
Yeah.
He saw to France, he saw to Germany, he saw to UK, United States, unfortunately, or all the world.
Yeah.
He is in power since 20 years now, 22 years now.
Yep.
And Xi Jinping, 11 years, almost 10 years. So you don't have Churchill, you don't have De Gaulle, you don't have the great United States presidents. So I think he he thinks this is a good opportunity to do what he is doing.
Yeah. We've talked about that a lot, right? Again, my perspective on it was he showed a lot of incompetence with that situation and weakness, the way he handled it and just pulled out, right? And basically just, hey, we lost, kind of thing. And like you said, Putin sees that as far as leadership decisions, as far as it's not the direct causation, it's the indirect things, right? The intangible stuff, as far as, well, I know that Biden is going to make decisions like this. But what's scary, though, is you would imagine that someone like Joe Biden is well aware of what Putin is now thinking of him. And I feel like it's what we're seeing now is almost like, I need to show strength against this. But it almost makes someone like Joe Biden, to me, almost seems unpredictable then. Because maybe he'll push it too far, right? How do we know? Yeah, he's got however many soldiers in Poland right now. I think we've deployed 20,000 soldiers to Poland or on Ukraine's western front there. And we just sent more out of Fort Campbell, which is not right up the road from me, last night. How do we know that if Putin does decide to invade Ukraine, that he's not going to directly help it and cause something worse, right? It's unpredictable as Trump was made out to be, because he talked a lot. He talked that big game that, it seemed like, oh, he's going to be unpredictable, we can't control him, whatever. He actually never had these issues, especially foreign policy wise. But it seems like now we do. Like, the guy that you would imagine would be predictable is not very predictable at all. And I worry that Biden will overstep on something. I don't think we should even worry about Ukraine. We have issues going on here. And I think a lot of people think that too. But it does seem like there's a lot of tension and that we are at a risk of, and it's going to be a mistake or it's going to be a misunderstanding. It's not going to be because Russia goes and full out and invades someone and then tries to take someone else over. It's going to be something that is a reaction from one side thinking the other is doing something, whether or not they are. And I've learned that seems to be one of the biggest issues, right? There's been a lot of close calls with maybe we were going to launch nukes at something, There's been a lot of crazy things that have happened during the Cold War. But one thing they said the difference was during the Cold War, if they thought something was happening, let's say like a nuclear strike, they took the time to check it out and make sure it was real. They say now that has actually gone away and it's just straight reaction. If they thought that someone launched a nuke, it's guns blazing. And they've become a lot less cautious about it, which a lot of the people I don't think actually notice this, and I didn't know it until I was start doing a lot more research on this. And you're like, wow, this could be a bad situation. And go ahead.
You are taking, Michael, you can see the media taking the focus away from the economy, from the crisis from the inflation, from the rise up of the prices of the oil, the food. It's here in Brazil we say a curtain of smoke, a false flag. It would be the most adequate term to that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Paulo.
It's a very dangerous situation. But I would like to say something. I have a lot of friends in U.S. Army. I know U.S. Army very well, and you have the most powerful army in the world.
Yeah,
far from the others, far
Mhm.
from the others, very far.
Yeah.
I know China army. The they have fight in 1979
Mhm.
79 against Vietnam
Mhm.
and never more. They don't have any experience in
And they got
war
they
fighting.
got beat in Vietnam too, didn't they? If I remember rightly, or they didn't. It didn't go very well for China in Vietnam.
Yes, it was very small, small. Sorry, very small war,
Mm-hmm.
very concentrated in the
Gotcha.
border. They don't have.
They only
They
won
don't.
the Korea Guerra, the Korea War.
Yeah, Korean War. Yeah,
Yes, they.
yeah.
But if you nowadays in China PLA, you don't have any officer or soldier with war experience.
Mm-hmm.
This is make a very great difference. And Russia don't have military experience. Very little experience in Syria, maybe
Mm-hmm.
Ukraine, but very few soldiers. Very few soldiers.
Yeah.
You have the most powerful. Your officers and soldiers are very well trained,
Mm-hmm.
so you are very respected
Mm-hmm.
by Russia and by China. They they don't want to fight against the United States or NATO. They know they will lost.
Mm-hmm.
They know. But what happens in Ukraine? Ukraine is not a member of NATO,
Mm-hmm.
and Biden says, yeah, you will not fight in Ukraine. So if Russia take Ukraine, the West will do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, the danger is what they will do next time,
Mm-hmm.
because this will empower Putin. He will become more and more confident. He um can do things like that. I don't know if I could
No, no, that was good.
say what.
It will give them confidence, being able to take over a country like Ukraine. It would give them experience doing it. It would also give them
Yes.
resources, right?
May I
Y-
ask a
yeah,
question?
yeah.
Would occupation, Ukraine occupation would allow, for example, China to take back Taiwan?
It's a very good question.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good question. You know, for China, Taiwan is a very important issue.
Mm-hmm.
Very important issue. In their mind, Taiwan is China.
Mm-hmm.
It's a part of the country. And to Chinese people, time is very important. Um, I don't know the word in English. When you have a anniversary, 100 years,
Yeah.
this commemorations, this kind of special date is very important.
Yeah.
So in 2049, China will complete 100 years of communism, 100 years of
Yeah.
Popular Republic of China.
Mm-hmm.
And Xi Jinping uh, wrote this in documents. In 2049, China will be reunified. Reunified? I don't know.
Yeah, and
Yes,
reunified. Yeah.
yes, will be reunified. So I am absolutely sure they will try to take Taiwan someday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if it's this year, next year, in 5 years, but I am convinced they will try, and they will try until 2049. because they want to mark this 100 years
Mm-hmm.
with China completed reunified
Yeah,
in their point of view.
and I've heard of
But
that. Yes.
Ukraine can be they, of course they are watching what is happening in Ukraine. What will be the United States reaction? What will be the Europe reaction? The world reaction? And they will learn what which of the situation.
Yeah, so China's definitely sitting back and watching what plays out here. And I've heard a CIA agent talk about that 2049 plan. It's so this is like real stuff, right? And that reunification of Taiwan. And I want to ask you this, and I'm actually doing some writing on this, right? And I think that this is already taking place in the United States because you brought up the fact that China and Russia know they cannot stand up militarily to the U.S. and it's not even close. But you between now and 2049, if we're China here, they know this. So the one way to destroy a country like the U.S. is from the inside. And there's a lot going on here that you have a larger group of citizens in the U.S. that favors a socialism. You know, you even have communist groups that are growing in the U.S. You have certain economic theories that are trying to be implemented by members of Congress, like modern monetary theory, where they can print as much money as they want. They don't care about deficit or debt spending, and that will allow them to drown out the private sector with government ownership. You have it to where they want to teach things like critical race theory, which derives from critical theory, which is in the Communist Manifesto. You have problems with our media that divides people and has crazy amount of propaganda. And these are things that, from my talks with Marcos, you guys experience in Brazil as well, media-wise. It's a little different as far as who owns the control of that media. You guys, from what I hear, is more the government ownership, whereas ours is maybe large corporations and private, but it's still very divisive and a lot of propaganda. Do you think that that is possibly what is taking place in the United States right now, and that China or Russia or some outside influences definitely have influence inside the country, and that would be the most efficient way to take down a country like the United States and try and weaken its social and cultural standing inside, which then will bleed over into the military side as well?
It's a very good question. United States is the most powerful country in the world because much of this power is comes from your culture.
Mm-hmm.
I am Brazilian, and I was in New York 2 times. But even before I went to New York, I knew the city because I saw the city um, um, times and times and times in TV movies and because your culture is very powerful.
Yeah.
Your singers, your music, your movies, everything, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So even in China, if you go to China now and walk in the streets, you will see the boys wearing the basketball t-shirts,
Yeah.
American basketball t-shirts, because your culture is very, very, very powerful. What is happening now? China learned this lesson. So if I if I turn on my TV now here in Brazil and look for Chinese movies, I will find Chinese movies. This is very impressive because I never think about this.
Mm-hmm.
And the movies are uh, exactly like your movies. They have a very famous movie this year that a guy and astronaut,
Mm-hmm.
save the world.
Like
It's
Armageddon,
like
yeah.
yes. The only thing is different is the flag in the shoulder.
Yeah.
Is the Chinese flag, is not the American flag. So they learn with you, and they are uh, taking the same measures
Mm-hmm.
to expand their culture. So uh, this is very important because you will dispute the all world with China. So Brazil, Argentina, and Thailand, India uh, will will sought to China and sought to United States.
Yeah.
Where I will go? I will go to China. China it will give money to me to construct, uh, to build bridges, to build roads, to build everything.
Mm-hmm.
Or I will sought to United States. United States will show me how to be a democratic country, for
Mm-hmm.
example. So you are disputing the the world in this moment. It's very interesting because last Friday, United States uh, White House became public a document, United States strategy to Indo-Pacific area. In last Friday, you in White House website, you can find this document.
Mm-hmm.
And if you read the document, United States is saying uh, uh, a lot of policies towards all policies to Indo-Pacific area too. So the countries in Indo-Pacific now have two documents to read. How Russia and China will treat me. How United States will treat me. Oh, so I will choose this or that. We are living a new kind of Cold War, a
Mm-hmm.
new kind of Cold War. The world will be divided again in spheres of influence,
Yeah.
and they will the countries will must take a side.
That's interesting. And to clarify, you're saying that these countries in the Indo-Pacific, they have two people they can go to, and because you have two sides writing these policies, they're going to pick and choose. It's basically like they're recruiting these countries. Uh, you know, here's what I offer you. Like no different than like a college sport. And I don't know how much about colleges here, but I played football. They want you to come to their school. Here's what I'm going to give you. You're going to play so much. Here's all the clothes, whatever it is. And that's interesting. And it's almost like they're doing occupation without the war part, the
Yes,
killing. It's a
yes.
innovative way to occupy and gain power.
It's economic and cultural battle.
Yeah. And this has not happened before. I don't think. I think
This happened, yes, this happened in
May
Cold War, but you have
it's
a very
it's the
difference, very high difference.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
In Cold War, you have the capitalism and the communism. So the choice was very clear, very clear. You must choose between the capitalism and democracy or the communism and dictatorship. So it's very easy for the countries to choose. Nowadays, it's not easy because you saw to China, okay, it's not a democracy, but people are living and people are living well because they are becoming rich. They have internet, they have internet is not free, but they have cars, they can travel to Europe to they can live, and China is not interested in. China have not the objective to turn the other countries communists. Do you understand? They
Okay.
don't have. They don't do. They don't try to change governments.
Gotcha.
If the government is a democracy, okay. If is a
It's the perspective of
dictatorship,
Stalin, would I say, communism in, in only one country.
Uh, you may have to repeat yourself, Marcos. I think you were trying to say it's different from the perspective of Stalin, or is it the same? What were you saying with that?
He fought, but it's the same. The communism in first of all in one country.
But Stalin wanted to spread that communism because he did it like with North Korea. He spread it to China. He spread it to, the Soviet
China
countries, right?
is spraying their mentality too.
Say that again.
You can see that, and again, I'm gonna say about Sawolinsky, Rules for Radicals. It's explicit in this book how to create the status of that China wants to demolish your republican state.
Mm-hmm. Uh,
I couldn't understand
yeah, it was hard to hear. You're breaking in and out, Marcos. I think what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm either gonna have the complete opposite, or I'm gonna be right here. I believe you were saying that it's not the mindset to spread the communism. But we're being told that it is that they're trying to destroy our republic. Is that what you were saying, Marcos?
It's exactly the mindset. They are spraying the mentality to destroy our values.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but they don't. And who's spreading it though? It's not China. Then you're saying it's ourselves spreading this to try and pin us against these countries?
I said Saul Alinsky, the Rules for Radicals, the mentor of Obama.
Okay, gotcha. And it basically goes back to like our whole media and how they spread certain truths or propaganda, and they're trying to get us in that mentality where we think China wants to destroy our republic, whether or not that's even true. And they're in this playbook. This strategy is coming from someone who mentored Obama and has been involved in, and that's what you're getting at, right, Marcos?
Yeah, right. Yeah, correct.
And with that, and I'm gonna direct this question at Paulo then. What is China's end goal then, other than reunification of Taiwan? If he doesn't care about changing governments, which obviously in the United States we care a lot about doing, around the world, what is the end goal for them? Because if they're not wanting to change governments, then they're obviously not threatened by the way that we govern ourselves through a republic or other countries doing it through democracy, even though they don't abide by that same law, but they're not threatened by it. So what's the end goal for China? Is it just to be that big superpower? Or is there some other motive here?
They want to be rich. They want to be a superpower.
Mm-hmm.
If you was I don't know in English, ET from the space. The guy
Yeah,
from
ET,
space.
extraterrestrial. Yep, ET.
Yes. If you was an ET
Mm-hmm.
and became to Earth in 1000 before Christ,
Mm-hmm.
and ask to something here. Uh, where is the most powerful country in the earth?
Then Rome.
The
Yeah.
ET will find China.
Mm.
You know, 1000 before
Yeah.
Christ, in the year of Christ, year zero,
Yeah.
year 1000, year 1500. China lost this condition of the most powerful nation in earth only in industrial revolution in 1750, and lost this
1750.
condition.
Okay.
Yes, only 250 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
In all history of the earth, China was the superpower.
Even larger than
Only in
Rome.
this time. What? Sorry?
Even larger than Rome.
Even larger than Rome. Yes, yes, even larger than Rome.
Mm-hmm.
All the most important things you can, the paper, um, powder, every a lot of things
Mm-hmm.
they discovered and constructed. But so they lost this condition only in nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
So to the Chinese people, they want to recover this position,
Gotcha.
this condition of superpower, this respect from the rest of the world. For them, the 19th century was very, very hard.
Mm-hmm.
70 million, s- uh, 7th million of Chinese died in the all 19th century with the invasion of UK, invasion of
Mm-hmm.
France, invasion of Russia, Japan,
Yeah.
Germany. So they feel very uh, bad about this time,
Mm-hmm.
and now they think they are uh, taking back the position they lost, and they have the right. So uh, as I told you in the when we start to
Mm-hmm.
this conversation, we have a power, and we have a rising power, and this situation creates attention
Yes.
attention between the established power and the raising power.
Mm-hmm. That's that's interesting. That is, and that's a very good perspective. Uh, you know, and it does give you a lot to think about. And you know, so I want to ask you, going back to what I said about them taking steps to try and do it internally in the U.S. Could then, you know, on their way and their goal to become that number one superpower, want to speed that process up by certain things in the United States, like I listed before, to try and uh, create that divisiveness and that, you know, uneasiness in our culture here, which will allow it will just give them an easier road to get to the top. It's not that they are a threat physically, you know, like or militarily or anything like that. They just want to basically be number one, and they're going to take whatever steps necessary to try and achieve that, and even by a certain date. And so, you know, do you think that they could be interfering in that way? You know, just like indirectly, where they're trying to manipulate culture here in the States.
I think it's possible. I think it's possible, but I'm not sure
Mm-hmm.
if 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 they are the main threat in this sense, because you have, and we have here in Brazil, uh, our own people
Mm-hmm.
representing this threat,
Yeah.
because this cultural changes we are seeing here in West, they 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 didn't born in China.
Yeah.
Uh, this human being empowerment. This it's a very good thing. You have to you must um, give to people chance to live in the best conditions they deserve to live. But this kind of put this problem in the center of all problems. This I'm not sure if I can explain myself, but this kind of um,
Tactic.
yes, born in Europe, not in China.
Yeah. So you're saying it's coming from these people in Europe and a younger generation in Europe because you said born in the 90s. So people maybe my
Yes,
age, right, that are doing this.
because until 90s, the state was the center of the relationship between countries, the state, the governments,
Yeah.
you know. But with the end of Cold War, you don't have this fight. So the state became less powerful, became less important because you didn't have the opposition, you didn't have the enemy so clear. So the governments, the state became to pay much more attention to the people, to the problems of race, the problems of gender, the problems of poor and the rich. So because we have problems in these issues, but this became the center of the attention of the political parties, political policies, and the center of all conversation. This didn't happen in China, didn't happen in Russia. They because they don't have democracy, so the party don't pay attention to these things, pay attention to other things, to policies to become rich, the state, the country richest, uh, build bridges, build streets, build things.
Infrastructure.
Another, yes, infrastructure.
Mhm.
I don't know if I could explain myself, but these things don't came from China, came from the West.
Yeah. That I believe that. That makes sense. It does. And I think what you're seeing is there's a lot of different ways to look at this. And I do agree. I think that it's not so much power against power, state against state, right? It's they're picking out certain things and they're emphasizing on that, like you said, with race or the LGBTQ or whatever issue there is going on. I personally believe that a lot of corruption in governments is what kind of fuels this, because they make it a commodity to be oppressed nowadays. There is real oppression in the United States. There's real oppression in all countries in some form. You could probably find it, right? But they are making it to where any minority group or any little thing is, severely oppressed, and those people that are, making that issue larger than what it is are the ones that are actually profiting off of it as well. And it seems like there's a big profit motive with a lot of our elected leaders here in the United States, and it's getting worse. Whether it's inside trading with the stock market or certain policies that they're trying to implement that changes our whole voting system. Like they introduced the voting legislation. There's 2 bills that they introduced in January that they haven't been able to get passed yet. but the Democratic Party was literally willing to do whatever it took and make any change necessary to pass the bill. Well, the bill would allow them to have a strong advantage in all future elections and stay in power. And now I just feel like they're only going to make decisions based off of whatever's best for them to remain in power, whatever that may be. I've even had a theory that maybe Biden was being blackmailed by Ukraine with all the information they may have on his son, and he doesn't want that to get out, or he doesn't, other politicians may have that same thing against him, and so he's over there willing to defend Ukraine. We don't know, but it's not unlikely from what we've seen from our politicians either. Were you going to say something, Marcos? Marcos? Oh, go ahead, Paulo. It looks like
there is an English author named there's an English author named Theodore Dalrymple. You can hear me? Author named Theodore Dalrymple is the Western of the Western civilization.
Uh-huh.
So when he talked about this fall, he says, "Have you ever hugged your refrigerator?" And you say, "What?" Yeah, because we don't know what take to get to the refrigerator. We live in a comfort zone that a minimal problem became a huge problem. Mm-hmm. Like you were saying 3 days ago, the micro offenses.
Microaggressions, yeah. Oh, it looks like he cut out. Yes. Go ahead though, Paulo.
No, I don't know if you have any other question. I don't know.
I was just saying that I appreciate you clearing a lot of this up. And you definitely give a very good perspective on this, right? Because you can sit here and you can put pieces of a puzzle together all day with speculation on the motives of whatever problem there is. If it's why are we going to go and risk a war over Ukraine, right? Or why are we so against China, or why does China, whatever they're doing, to impact us? I think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, or let me know what you think, but I just think that we're getting to a point where it's not that a whole lot has changed in the world as far as our outlook as countries. I don't think Brazil's motives for their country have necessarily changed. It's the people in power have changed, and their intent on things have changed. It's like now we have people that instead of wanting to go represent the United States in Congress, they're wanting to stay in Congress, and they only make decisions to stay in Congress. They don't care what it is as long as they have a job there. And this goes all the way up to the president, whoever that may be. And so it makes you wonder with things that we're seeing, whether it's propaganda on the news or, certain deals with China or Russia or Ukraine, whatever it is. Are you doing it because it's going to help you stay in office, or are you doing it because it's in the best interest of the United States? Because the two don't always go hand in hand.
Michael, I really don't know the U.S. policy very well, so to me it's hard to say something about your internal politics. But I do think our generation will see in the next years a lot of things changing. in international relations, in the manner of the countries interact each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the United States have a very important role in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and you must um, take this role, act as you really are the most important country in
Mm-hmm.
the world. Because if you look to yourself and look only to the internal politics, the world will change very very fast, and you will lost your position.
Mm-hmm.
So you must you the United States I mean uh, must be very smart in these times, uh, because you will be challenged by a very strong partnership between Russia and China, and
Absolutely.
you will have a very hard times if you don't act in a very smart manner,
Controlled manner
because
too.
they will avoid the war,
Mm-hmm.
because they know you are very strong.
Mm-hmm.
They know you have the most powerful army in the world, the best trained soldiers, the best equipment.
Mm-hmm.
You have this. And they know that. But uh, you must pay attention to the cultural war, the choices the other countries will uh, take. If you lost the all the partners and the allies, they will win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good that's a good point. The problem though is it seems like a lot of our partners and allies seem to be in favor of the changes that we're actually going through. Like it, you know, a lot of the stuff that has seemed to be very divisive in the United States, a lot of these issues, uh, it almost seems like our allies condemn us for it, but they condemn it not because they don't want us to change it, they want us to maintain how we are in our stance. It's almost like they want us to, you know, it's almost like they want that divisiveness and for us to focus so much on all these issues. And I don't know, it just doesn't seem like maybe even our allies sometimes have our best interests in mind either.
Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you. It's a very hard game. It's a very difficult game,
Uh-huh.
because the United States became the most powerful in the world because you have this advantage. What is your advantage? The dollar.
Mm-hmm.
You can you can make dollars morning and night,
Mm-hmm.
every all hours in the time, because you all the world want to have dollars in the pocket.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know the name of my currency. Do you know the name of Brazilian currency? Is real. Is real. Only Brazilians want to have reais in
Yeah.
the pocket. But you have this power. You can Everybody wants your money.
Mm-hmm.
So you became rich because you can produce money, and you don't have inflation because everybody wants dollar.
Well, we do
But
now. We
what is
have inflation
happening now?
now. We have a lot of inflation now.
I
Yeah.
know. Nowadays you have inflation. Yes, but if you any other country produces his currency in the same way you produce, you will have 1,000 of percent of inflation.
Yeah.
But now, what China and Russia are um, deciding to use their currency to commercial changes.
Gotcha.
Nowadays, when China buy oil or gas from Russia, they pay in dollars, but they are uh, trying to change this
Yeah.
using rubles or yens. If this thing change, everything will change.
Because we lose our financial power at that moment. You know, the dollar may be like right now. Buying U.S. Treasury debt is the most secure and safest investment in the world. It's backed by the
Yes.
faith and credit of the United States. And what you're saying is, and I agree, is everyone is okay with having the dollar. Some countries you go and they'll accept dollars. Doesn't always work out for Americans, but it helps them out because everything is so cheap there. But if the ruble or the yen overtakes that spot, then not only do we lose that safety, not only does our debt securities lose kind of that risk free standing, where everyone wants it and it's secure, but it also gives China or Russia a lot of power over us as well, because now we're going to them to exchange through their currency. And
you Americans are the responsible or are the guardians of the Western culture today. You have this power and this the same way that this process. Yeah, you guys are the symbolical Churchill in the Second World War. You have to, or you stand or you surrender.
I agree. I think that we have a lot of people in the United States now that don't agree with that statement, or they don't think that we should have that standing. You guys are Brazilian. You probably want what's best for Brazil, right? And for it to be the greatest, most prosperous country that it can be. It's no different than me. Very patriotic. I want us to kick ass and take names. All right? I want us to be the best, number one. I'm fine with that. I don't agree with how, especially from a lot of the stuff I've been looking into lately, how we've done certain little things, because I don't think that it would always change our status, pushing certain issues in small countries. I don't think we should worry about this thing in Ukraine. But it comes down to, like what Marco said, is we need to be well aware of our standing in the world. And we also need to do whatever it takes for us to be competitive and maintain our status. But it is very interesting to see what is playing out. I'm going to ask you one more question, and I have a few people on the phone that may want to ask you a question as well, if that's okay. But just straight up, do you think Russia will invade Ukraine?
We have four possible things can happen. The first one is not invade. They will not invade. They will find a kind of solution. Putin can tell to his people, we have this and that. The United States take this action in our favor. Ukraine will never become a NATO country, so everything's okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe this is the most. I don't know the word in English. Sorry. The thing is much more possible to happen. Is not this one.
It's not the most tense or likely to happen.
Most likely, yes. Thank you. The second one, they can recognize the two little republics, Donetsk and Luhansk, the little states that nowadays you have this war, separatist war in Ukraine. They nowadays do not recognize these two cities, Luhansk and I forgot the other name. But what they can do? They can recognize these two republics and occupy these two republics in order to protect these two republics.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little more likely this they can take these two republics and more two. They can, if they do that, they can have a bridge for Earth until Crimea. Is very important to them because they can manage by land from Russia to Crimea. I think this is the most likely possibility.
Okay.
Because they have a little attack, and the Europe will say, yeah, it's okay. I will impose some sanctions, but everything is okay. In the most severe, the most dangerous possibility is take all the east portion of Ukraine. They have a river, Donetsk River, from north to south, dividing Ukraine in two parts.
And that goes up into Belarus, right?
Yes. Kiev is in north part of this river.
Mm-hmm.
And you can take, if they take all this east part, they can create a special buffer zone between the east and the west. So I think this is the most dangerous possibility, because in this case the war will be very hard, because Ukraine will fight for his country, their country. So I think the two options, only the two republics, Donetsk and Luhansk, or the other option, all this land between Russia and Crimea, I think these two possibilities are most likely to happen.
Yeah.
Sorry about my English, my friend.
No, you're good. I definitely understood about the river. We've looked at that before. Someone brought it up on the show. I've taken a look at it, and it makes a lot of sense because it's also the only year-round water access that Putin would have at that point. The rest of it freezes over in the winter, so that's important. It seems like it'd be a big incentive for Putin to take it. If you're saying there's no chance of a full takeover of the country, it would kind of end at that river if they did go that way.
I don't believe because it will be very hard to them. The next day, do you understand? The next day will be very hard. They will fight for years and years. I don't believe this.
It's not worth it either. You don't think? That's an interesting take. I thought, with what you said about the Crimean stuff, I thought about that as well. Why not, try and just have control of that southern portion of Ukraine there and the access to that river, right? Or that port.
Because it's very important for them because of the Black Sea. If they take this land portion, they controls all this part of North Black Sea. Black Sea is very important to them because it's the port they have water, hot water all the year. Because in north they have the glacial ocean with snow, ice in great part of the year.
Yeah. So we have a few people here. And I just asked, one called in, and I think they may have a question if he's there. Eric, did you have something you wanted to ask?
I don't have a question right offhand, but I would probably like to remind friends of the Real Conservative Talk podcast that we may be doing a show at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, which will be like a post-interview show where friends can come in and discuss what happened on this show. That since our friends over at the Beans and Weenies had to cancel last minute, so please keep Spanky in your prayers during this time for him.
Yep. Kentucky Prepper. I don't know if he can hear me or if he's looking at the chat. But he called in. Yeah. Did you have a question you want to ask?
So, my main question is with the current thing being that supposedly Putin is pulling back some troops. Do you think that this is you think this is kind of like him trying to hide his actions? Because in the book The Art of War is to in the very beginning it says appear like you're far away when you're close and appear close when you're far away. Do you think that might have some kind of meaning in this whole situation?
Thank you for your question. Your words are from Sun Tzu words. If you will attack, you must demonstrate you are defending. If you are defending, you must demonstrate that you will attack. If you are far, you must demonstrate that you are near, and vice versa.
Yes.
And it's very hard to say what is really happened. It's very, very hard to say. It's impossible to know the truth because we have a lot of information, and we don't know what is propaganda, what is true, what is not true. It's very hard to say. I don't believe they are leaving the region now because this is don't make sense. Why they will go now if nothing new happened? In war, you must have a political objective. What is the political objective of this movement of Putin? The political objective is to put pressure in West, to force Putin, Macron, Scholz to talk with him, and he can show to his people, to Russians, I am powerful leader. Biden is talking with me. Macron is talking with me. Boris Johnson is talking with me. But what he want? He want a promise. NATO must promise that Ukraine will never join to NATO, and this not happened until now.
Mm-hmm.
So he don't have this win, this goal. He don't have this goal. He needs something to show to his people. You can imagine how much money this guy spent in this movement. He take troops from the Siberia.
Mm-hmm.
How much money this costs?
Yeah, and I know Russia isn't exactly one of the wealthiest countries in the world. I know they've got their financial issues. They don't have a huge GDP. But my other question is: do you think there's something else behind this movement? Is does Russia think that they're going to be having issues with food in the future? Because a lot of us know that Ukraine is kind of the grain belt over there. That's where they get a lot of their food from, and maybe it's more than just having access to the Black Sea and reuniting the Ukraine to Russia. Maybe it's more than that. And Russia always wants to appear strong, so will never admit when they're in trouble. So, man, it just seems to me like there might be something else in this picture that we're not all seeing.
Yes, certainly. We are not seeing everything. You are completely right. We only know a little part of everything. Only a little part.
And to comment on that, John Gale's still in the thing. You know, he sent me something yesterday talking about all the resources Ukraine has and where they rank in the world with different trade and blah 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 blah. From my perspective, I was thinking if the natural resources were so rich there, and a country needed them so bad, like let's say Russia really needed it, especially since the worst part in their country, as far as the Soviet Union collapsing to now, has already occurred, wouldn't they have tried to take that sooner and take advantage of those resources sooner, right? And same thing with us. If we wanted those resources, wouldn't we have pushed harder to get Ukraine into NATO faster and be able to take advantage of those resources? So when you think about it, or at least how I kind of portray it, is maybe there's just not a lot of interest in Ukraine other than strategical purposes, like what Putin brings up with the whole NATO thing, and then that puts the United States right on his doorstep, or NATO on his doorstep, and vice versa. I think I agree more with you, Paulo, what you said with the political advantage. Why would you start taking troops away and sending them all the way back after spending all of that money getting them there, when you have more diplomacy occurring right now than you probably have in the last, I don't even know, maybe, since 2014 when they took Crimea, before that, because they didn't even do that much with the whole Crimean thing. So why wouldn't you leave it there and leave the possibility of an invasion on the table and as a way to get, certain things that you want and or compromises? So I don't believe they're pulling troops back, even when they may say they are, but I just don't think they are, because I feel like it's going to cost you too much money, and it just would give up leverage politically on Putin's part. And I think he's smarter than that.
Well, it seems unlikely, to move that amount of men and equipment just for no reason,
Yeah.
Just to pull them back just because, you're having talks with other nations. He didn't just spend that much money just to get all these other countries to talk to him,
Well, so, yeah, and that's a good point, too, as far as we are where we are right now, right? They're already there. But then you have to go and look at the motive of why move them all there and take the risk. What if the United States said, you know what, you can go screw yourself, we're not talking to you at all? Do you think he just goes ahead and invades at that point? Or does he just, take it as a loss, like, well, we tried and try something else? So I guess there is a separation of, why did you start this? What made you want to go and go down this path? Because I think we're right as far as now that they're there, what they're trying to do, but there had to also be enough motive behind bringing, something or doing something so logistically hard for Russia in the first place.
Well, yeah, because
I agree with you.
Thousands
sorry.
to move those troops.
Go ahead, Paulo.
No, only to say I agree with you, Michael. I agree.
And then Kentucky Pepper, do you have any other questions?
No. I would like to say, to point again to the scandal about the Biden family that can undermine the whole electoral process in the last elections. So the question for me is, why Biden is acting like he's acting, not why Putin is acting like he's acting.
That's a good question too. And if I could, I want to expand on that same question, especially because you work in intelligence. How bad would it be if it did come out that there was some kind of I don't want to use the term blackmail, but maybe coercion or I guess blackmail on the Biden administration or Joe Biden himself with his son and possible dealings in Ukraine? That'd be like a really serious thing if that turned out to be true, wouldn't it?
Michael, I really don't. I'm not. I don't know about your Biden questions. I don't know. I really don't know.
I understand.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Hey, I told you if you didn't know, then that's fine. We've asked a lot of hard questions. You've done a great job. And Marcos, I really appreciate you setting this up as well. Both of you are more than welcome to come on the show at any time. Go ahead, Eric.
I know that our guest Paulo, who joined us this evening, and I know that your 2-hour limit here on Podbean is getting close, but I know you, Michael, and you, Marcos, would really be honored to have him come back to the show, and I'm sure even other friends like John DeVito and John Gale and James from Slightly Serious would probably be honored to have him on sometime to chat with us.
Yep. I may have another question here for you, if you don't mind. We have about 6 minutes before our time runs out and it cuts us off. I don't want to take too much of your time. Again, I'm more than happy and appreciative of you coming here. Chill Will, I'm trying to get you in here, but he may have a question. See if he accepts it. I don't know if he, let's see. He was trying to
Chill
call
Will
in.
Is muted.
Oh, is he in here? I don't see
he's
him
on the call panel.
Here he is.
Yeah, I'm here. I didn't know. I thought you were talking about somebody else. I'm sorry, bro.
You're all right. Do you have a question?
Oh, no, I was just thinking about somebody said something about the electoral college, or I don't know if I was off because I was kind of listening the last, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes. I was thinking to myself that I think both parties do that, like in general, like rezone and do little stuff.
Oh no, we're way off topic. Yeah, you're way off topic.
Yeah. I thought, yeah. I was thinking like I was thinking so. But yeah, that's what I really wanted to ask, like what that was. Somebody mentioned something in reference to that, like so. I'm like, but you did mention like Biden and his son or something like that. I think that happens all the time, bro. All of them, like man, all of them. We looking at it. If you go to the lineage. Like that little, I know the conspiracy theorists put it out there, but some of that stuff is true. Like them all being related and having dealings, and that's pretty much across the board, though. Like that's just normal. If you really look into it, if you really gonna,
yeah, no, I agree.
Like even with the,
we're not denying that stuff doesn't go on at all. What I was more asking was, we're in a situation now, right, where you have one country, one superpower threatening to invade another country, right? That the country that is being threatened, Ukraine, could they possibly, they know that they couldn't stand up by themselves to a Russian invasion. They need the outside help. Could they be using Hunter Biden's dealings in Ukraine or Joe Biden's dealings, right, to as leverage to try and get the United States to intervene and protect them? That's where I was getting at with that question. Now I know Paulo said he's not.
The answer would be hell yeah.
He said hell yeah.
The answer would be hell yeah. Give me a hell yeah. Hell yeah. A beer and another beer.
So Paulo, you can obviously see that's a common thought here in the United States that could possibly be true as far as countries having leverage on certain people in the United States because of their foreign dealings, and we don't have to get into that if you don't want to, but it does seem to be you have your conspiracies, but it just seems to be a growing concern in the United States about that.
Yeah, yes. As I told you, I don't know about this issue. I really don't know.
Yeah.
I'd
Can
like
talk about
to
Brazil.
say.
He said, "What about Brazil?
Sorry?
Do you see those problems in Brazil?"
I don't know if you understand correctly, but I don't know, because you have you United States have this uh, hate power to influence the world, so
Gotcha.
you can this can
Yeah. No.
we
Yeah. I get it. You
this
need
is not
leverage.
Brazilian army will never go to Europe to fight
Mhm.
about Ukraine. It's not our responsibility.
I wish I could say the same about us. I get why we do certain things. I just don't think we should intervene with Ukraine. Right? That's it. If you attack us, it's over with. But I just don't think we should intervene with certain countries that, you know, why
But
waste the
Michael,
lives?
this is the the price you must pay because you are the most important country in the world.
I get it. I understand. Yeah, it's the
and
responsibility.
and the United States only achieve this place because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are in Asia, you are in Europe, you are in Australia, you are here in South America.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, you are the most important country in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So if you change the direction, another country will fulfill this place. Is what about is what about you? We are talking here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically what we started off saying, this whole thing. So we're about to run out of time. Again, I really appreciate you taking the time and answering the questions. A lot of good information and a good perspective. I'll be in contact with Marcos. We are in contact back and forth. You're more than welcome to come on here whenever. If you have any questions, you need anything from me, let me know. Same thing with you, Marcos. But I'm gonna go ahead and end it. Stay on the line with me, Paulo, real quick while I end this. And we may come back around. I don't know, Eric. You said about it'd be 8 Central.
8 p.m. Central, which is 9 Eastern, because this will be after Slack Ready 2 wraps up, and then we'll give Shannon a lead in at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 Central.
Awesome. So probably be back on tomorrow, same time, and I will see you guys later. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Hold on, Paulo, real quick. I'm just sending this. Awesome.